You know that feeling. You want to really understand something, properly get to the heart of it, but life just keeps, well, moving.
Oh.
Well, this time, we're taking a bit of a shortcut. We're diving into understanding ourselves better.
Yeah, things like those core personal values that, drive us.
And that sense of purpose that kind of gives our lives direction.
Mm,
We've got a really fascinating collection of sources here, looking at all sorts of ways to tap into that deeper self-knowledge.
exactly. We've been digging through articles packed with really thought-provoking journal prompts, actually,
Oh, yeah.
and expert perspectives on uncovering your life's purpose, plus some insightful discussions around what it truly means to be self-aware.
Oh,
We'll also touch on navigating fear, understanding our needs and beliefs, and exploring self-compassion and mindfulness too.
right. So it's all connected then, this journey towards knowing yourself better.
It really is. It all weaves together.
Okay, so our goal today is basically to pull out the crucial insights, maybe some genuinely useful steps from all this stuff.
Mhm.
We want you to finish this feeling, well-informed, maybe even a bit inspired, but definitely not buried under tons of information.
Yeah, not overwhelmed.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so to really get to grips with this,
Yeah.
where do we even start understanding ourselves at this, deeper level?
Well, a really solid place to begin is understanding our core values.
Okay, core values.
Yeah, think of them as the fundamental principles guiding our decisions, big and small. They really shave our deepest longings.
Right.
And one of our sources had some excellent journal prompts. They can be incredibly effective in sort of bringing these values up to the
Oh,
surface.
those were interesting. Like the one about your ideal morning routine. It sounds so simple, doesn't it?
It does.
But how does that connect to what you actually value? Like if your perfect start involves, say, total quiet before anyone else is up,
Right.
maybe that points to valuing uh, peace or
Mm.
solitude.
Precisely. Or take the prompt about your heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you really admire? Could be historical figures, characters, people you know. The qualities that stand out in them often shine a light back on your own values. Are you drawn to their courage, their commitment to justice?
Ah, okay. So if you admire someone's bravery,
It could mean bravery or maybe equality is important to you. Yeah. And interestingly, some psychological research suggests the qualities we admire can sometimes reflect parts of ourselves we maybe don't fully see or are trying to develop.
that makes sense.
The source even lists examples like advocacy, compassion, adventure, altruism, vision. Lots to consider.
And I like the one about favorite art and media, movies, books, music.
Oh, yeah.
Why does that specific story or song hit you so hard? Is it the beauty, the creativity, the connection, maybe even nostalgia or comfort?
Mm-hmm. Those emotional hooks can be really powerful indicators.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating how these seemingly light prompts can unlock deeper stuff, like the one about friends.
Okay.
Do you prefer a huge circle or just a few really close connections? What's the common thread in the people you feel closest to?
Right. So that could point to values like community, family, reliability.
Connection, humor, yeah, all sorts of things.
The what would you save in an emergency prompt was definitely thought-provoking,
Sure.
bit intense,
Yeah, it is.
but it's so telling, isn't it? Do you grab sentimental things, photos, or do you immediately think of people, pets?
That split-second reaction really shows your immediate priorities. Family, maybe. Companionship, responsibility, safety. Or maybe the stories those objects hold. Nostalgia.
It really cuts through the fluff, doesn't
It does. And even something as mundane as your internet habits.
Really?
Yeah. What do you click on most? What images do you save? Are you drawn to order, balance, or maybe aesthetics, beauty? Perhaps you're always looking for personal growth stuff or ways to make a difference.
Huh. Never thought of it that way. Our clicks giving us clues.
Mm-hmm. Even our online patterns reveal something.
And the prompt about common disagreements that one felt,
Yeah.
brilliantly simple.
Right.
What topics really get on your skin, whether it's small pet peeves or big global issues, looking at why you react so strongly.
That can reveal deeply held values. Things like forgiveness, maybe activism, cooperation, equality, ethics, freedom.
Yeah.
And it's so important to remember, as the source points out, these values aren't set in stone. They can
Gotcha.
evolve, they shift as you grow, have new experiences. The key is just approaching it with an open mind, no judgment. Just observe what comes up.
Right. Non-judgmental exploration.
Exactly. And when you get clearer on your values, it really helps align those big life decisions, where to live, what work to do, who you spend time with.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So values are one piece. Now, how does that connect to this bigger idea, finding our life purpose? That can feel, well, even more daunting.
It certainly can feel huge, yeah. But our sources offer some really helpful ways in. One defines life purpose pretty simply, actually. It's your
Ah,
fundamental reason for existing, the core motivation driving your decisions and actions.
okay.
And it offers some insightful, introspective questions to get you started.
Like focusing on your strengths. What are you
Yeah.
genuinely good at? Sometimes, when you feel a bit lost, just reminding yourself what you can do, that can spark ideas, right?
Totally. The source suggests, for example, if you realize you're a naturally good listener,
Hmm.
maybe that points towards exploring coaching or counseling, something like that.
Okay.
And then there's the question of what brings you genuine happiness.
Ah, the joy factor.
Yeah. What activities, what situations fill you with joy, give you a sense of meaning? Even small things can point you in a valuable direction.
Sure.
Another powerful one asks you to imagine looking back on your life, like from an older age.
Oh, wow.
What do you hope to see? What accomplishments? What legacy? That gives potent insight into what truly matters long term.
That's a heavy hitter, isn't it? Pushes you beyond the day-to-day.
Definitely. There's also the question about challenges you've overcome.
Right. Remembering your resilience.
Yeah, remembering times you were resilient, your capacity for change. That can be incredibly empowering if you're thinking about a new direction or just feeling stuck.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget the bucket list.
Mm. What experiences do you dream of? Are they more like professional starting a business or personal traveling somewhere specific?
Mm-hmm.
Looking for patterns in your list can reveal those underlying motivations, potential areas of purpose.
Okay.
And the source stresses that this sense of purpose isn't static. It's okay if it evolves as you do. Your answers can change over time.
That's reassuring. It's not like you find the answer and that's it forever.
Not at all. And just like with values, these questions are fantastic prompts for journaling, for deeper reflection.
Yeah. So all of this values, purpose, it's really about cultivating a deeper understanding of who we are, which leads us naturally, I guess, to self-awareness. Sounds simple, but it often takes real conscious effort, doesn't it?
It really does. One source defines it as a conscious understanding of your own character, your feelings, your motives, your desires.
Okay.
And it provides a really comprehensive list of reflective questions designed to help you tap into that deeper level. Wow. Okay. Yeah. There look like a lot of them. Questions like, how do you currently feel about yourself?
Right. Or do you find yourself doing things to escape your current reality?
Oof.
Mm.
Yeah. Things we don't always stop to consciously think about.
Exactly. They range from your immediate feelings to more ingrained beliefs and patterns. Like, what do you believe you could never, ever give up?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you tend to believe every single thought that pops into your head? That challenges some assumptions.
Yeah, definitely.
Then there are questions about social stuff. Do you generally enjoy spending time with others? Versus, do you also value time alone?
Ah, right. Understanding your social needs.
Yeah, revealing your personality, your needs for connection versus solitude.
Some are pretty profound, like, what are your thoughts on what happens when we die?
Mm-hmm.
Or even, what does birthday mean to you personally? Definitely not your average chat starters.
Huh, no. And then more practical ones like, what's been on your to-do list forever but never gets done?
Guilty. That might highlight some resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's not aligned with your real priorities.
Could be either, yeah. What's insightful is just the sheer breadth of these questions.
Right.
They cover coping mechanisms for stress, how open you are with people, your beliefs about change, even guilty pleasures, favorite time of day.
Look at a full self-inventory toolkit.
Pretty much. And the source rightly says self-awareness isn't like a destination you arrive at.
Oh, okay.
It's an ongoing process, a continuous curiosity about who you are as you keep growing and changing.
Okay, so even when you have a better handle on values, purpose, self-awareness, sometimes things still hold you back, right?
Yeah.
Like fear and those limiting beliefs we carry around.
Absolutely. Fear can be incredibly powerful. But one source had a really interesting take on it. It
Yeah.
suggests fear can actually be a leading indicator of potential personal growth.
Huh. Okay, explain that. Fear is a good sign.
Well, the idea is that the physical feelings of fear, the knot in your stomach, the racing heart, that's our body's natural response to novelty, to things outside our usual comfort zone.
Okay, so it's just a reaction to something new or unexpected.
Basically. And here's where it gets really interesting. The source suggests the first step is to actually recognize those physical sensations for what they are.
Just physiological responses.
Right. Responses we create when we face novelty. It even recommends consciously calling fear by name, almost like welcoming it,
Welcoming fear. Okay.
and trying to understand what specific novelty or change that feeling is signaling.
So instead of being paralyzed by it, you analyze it.
Exactly. Shift from paralysis to analysis. See fear not as this huge wall, but maybe as a signpost pointing towards something near, something potentially growth-inducing.
And by looking at it, acknowledging it, understanding the novelty, the fear itself might lessen.
Sometimes, yeah. It can reveal the underlying opportunity for learning or skillful action.
Okay, that's a different way to frame it.
Hmm.
And then limiting beliefs. Those negative stories we tell ourselves that cap our potential. Where do they usually come from?
Well, one source explains they often take root in past pain, experiences where we felt maybe rejected, inadequate, unsafe.
Right. Especially from childhood.
Often, yeah.
Yeah.
We might internalize those painful times and develop beliefs and behaviors to try and fit in, get accepted, get the love or resources we needed.
So they were like coping mechanisms that got stuck.
Kind of. They can be reinforced by things people said or even just subtle subconscious cues we picked up on.
So how do we actually break free from these beliefs that are holding us back?
The source lays out a helpful four-step process. First, you've got to actively identify them.
Okay. How?
Look at areas where you consistently struggle. Examine the internal stories you tell yourself about those struggles.
Gotcha. Step 1, identify.
Step 2, and this is crucial, address and release the underlying emotional pain attached to those beliefs.
How do you do that?
Often through things like journaling or feeling awareness meditation, basically, observing your emotions without judgment.
Okay, release the emotional charge, then what?
Step 3, consciously choose new, more empowering beliefs. Beliefs aligned with how you want to think and what you want to achieve.
Right, choose a new story.
And finally, step 4, affirm these new beliefs consistently, daily, ideally, until they gradually become your more natural, automatic way of thinking.
Okay, identify, release, choose, affirm. That makes sense. It's like consciously rewriting the internal script.
Exactly.
And this seems connected to vulnerability, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Another source highlights that surprising link between vulnerability and significant personal growth.
Define vulnerability in this context.
It's the willingness to be truly seen by others, like all of you, including your perceived flaws and imperfections. It takes real courage to drop the protective walls and let yourself be authentically known.
And it's important to remember, vulnerability isn't weakness, right? It's actually strength.
Huge strength. Choosing to show up authentically, even with your fears and imperfections visible, that leads to deeper self-discovery.
And better connections with people.
Definitely. Stronger, more meaningful connections. And ultimately, building more trust. It's about being willing to take that emotional risk.
Okay.
Vulnerability can really be a catalyst for change. It lets you step outside your comfort zone, embrace new experiences that might be transformative.
Right.
It's often when we're open and authentic that we learn the most about ourselves and others. And in relationships, personal or professional, it builds trust through honesty.
Okay, so we're diving deep here. Values, purpose, self-awareness, tackling fear and limiting beliefs. Now, what about our fundamental needs? How do they fit into this self-understanding picture?
Understanding and actively meeting our needs is absolutely crucial for healing, for thriving, really, according to one source.
What kind of needs are we talking about?
It covers a wide range: emotional, physical, social, personal well-being.
Okay.
And the source suggests a really practical approach. Regularly ask yourself, what's happening right now? How do I truly feel? And what do I need right now to feel even just a bit better?
Okay, identify the need in the moment.
Followed by, what healthy changes can I make to consistently meet that need?
That sounds very grounded,
Yeah.
actionable, developing sensitivity to what you actually require.
And the source also mentioned journaling can be really helpful here too. Tracking your needs over time, seeing how well you're meeting them.
Makes sense.
And it's vital to remember the foundational stuff too, like Maslow's hierarchy, which another source mentioned.
Ah, pyramid. Basic needs first.
Exactly. Food, water, shelter, sleep. They form the essential base. It's hard to focus on purpose or self-awareness if your basic survival needs aren't met.
Right. You need that foundation before you can build up to safety, belonging, esteem.
Precisely.
Okay, important reminder. Now, one of the sources also really stressed cultivating self-compassion and practicing mindfulness. How do these help us understand ourselves?
Well, self-compassion is crucial for embracing our imperfections. One of the book summaries we looked at really hit on this.
So being kind to yourself, basically.
Essentially, yeah. Extending the same kindness and understanding to yourself, especially when you mess up or feel inadequate, that you would offer a good friend.
Okay. And mindfulness.
Mindfulness practices help us cultivate that present moment awareness, observing thoughts, feelings, sensations with gentle curiosity, without that harsh judgment we often have.
Right. Less judgment. I noticed some specific exercises mentioned, like bringing a current difficulty to mind and just observing
Observing the thoughts, feelings, sensations without trying to fix or analyze them.
and exploring soft feelings behind hard feelings,
Yeah.
like digging under anger to find vulnerability.
Exactly. Trying to uncover those underlying needs that might be masked by anger or resentment. It can be really insightful.
Sounds like it.
There's also one focused on letting go of resentment, gently asking yourself if you really need to keep replaying a painful story.
Mm.
And the compassionate friend meditation, where you imagine offering kindness and support to yourself like you would a friend, that can be incredibly powerful.
Or even just writing a compassionate letter to yourself.
That too. A simple but transformative practice.
And what about loving kindness meditation?
Yeah, intentionally cultivating feelings of warmth and goodwill, first towards yourself, then expanding outwards to others. It's a really positive way to foster compassion.
And mindfulness isn't just formal meditation, right? It can be part of daily life.
Absolutely. Even something simple like savoring your food, paying full attention to the taste, texture, aroma, it's fundamentally about being more present moment to moment.
Okay. Finally, there was a discussion on forgiveness, both for ourselves and for others. That feels like a really vital piece for growth and well-being.
It absolutely is. One source explains that feeling remorse when we mess up is natural and healthy.
Good.
And self-forgiveness is a crucial step to move forward. The steps involved are being open to the remorse, recognizing that making mistakes is just part of being human.
Accepting our fallibility.
Right. Then consciously offering yourself compassion for any harm caused and making a clear resolution not to repeat it.
Okay, steps for self-forgiveness. And what about forgiving others? Why is that so important for us?
Well, forgiving others is often less about saying their actions were okay and more about releasing ourselves from carrying resentment, anger, bitterness. It frees us up.
Oh, okay, it's for our own benefit.
Largely, yes. The source provides steps for this too. Being open to understanding their pain or perspective, offering yourself compassion for the suffering you went through, trying to understand their motivations even if you don't agree, consciously offering forgiveness for the harm done, and importantly, setting boundaries so you're not harmed again in the same way.
Right, forgiveness isn't forgetting or excusing, it's releasing the emotional weight.
Exactly. Freeing yourself from the past.
Wow, so we've really covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
Identifying core values, exploring life purpose, boosting self-awareness, tackling fears and limiting beliefs, meeting our needs, and practicing self-compassion, mindfulness, forgiveness. It's also interconnected, isn't it?
It truly is. It's all part of this ongoing, evolving journey of self-discovery. And yeah, it might seem like a lot to take in, but the key takeaway is you absolutely don't have to try and do everything at once.
Exactly. So for you listening right now, maybe just take a moment, think back on our chat. What one or two techniques or prompts really resonated? Maybe pick one and just dedicate a little time this week to exploring that specific area more deeply.
And please remember, this journey of understanding yourself, it's definitely a marathon, not a sprint.
Good point.
These tools, these insights, they're valuable guides for navigating your path towards a more intentional and hopefully more fulfilling life.
So as you continue reflecting on all this, maybe ask yourself, what single insight from today feels most significant or most relevant to your own personal journey right now? That's definitely something worth mulling over.